Why the rich pretend to be poor, and why you should too. You see someone in flip-flops and a beat-up backpack walking through the airport, flying economy, and immediately assume they're a broke college student. But here's the plot twist that might change how you think about wealth. That person could own 3 companies and have millions in the bank, choosing to look unremarkable for reasons most Americans never consider. While you're spending hundreds monthly on car payments, designer clothes, and status symbols to look successful, many genuinely wealthy individuals deliberately choose the opposite approach. Warren Buffett lives in the same house he bought in the 1950s. Mark Zuckerberg wore identical gray t-shirts for years, and countless millionaires drive modest cars while their neighbors lease luxury vehicles they can't afford. This isn't about being cheap or depriving yourself of quality. It's about understanding the strategic advantages of stealth wealth and why looking poor might actually help you build real financial security. From protection against social pressure to avoiding the lifestyle inflation trap that keeps middle-class earners financially stressed. If you want to understand why this counterintuitive approach works and whether it makes sense for your situation, comment stealth wealth below. Let me show you the first strategic reason wealthy people choose to stay under the radar. Number 1. The protection strategy. Wealthy individuals often choose modest appearances not from lack of confidence or resources, but as a calculated strategy to protect their assets, privacy, and personal safety. This approach addresses real risks that come with visible wealth, though the specific threats vary significantly based on individual circumstances and geographic location. The most obvious protective benefit involves personal safety and security. High-profile displays of wealth can attract unwanted attention from criminals who target individuals based on perceived financial capacity. While dramatic examples like celebrity robberies make headlines, the more common reality involves subtler forms of targeting, from sophisticated scams to inflated pricing in business transactions when service providers assume clients can afford premium rates. Warren Buffett's lifestyle choices illustrate this principle practically rather than dramatically. Despite a net worth exceeding $100 billion, he continues living in the Omaha home he purchased in 1958 and famously drove older vehicles for decades. These choices reflect strategic thinking rather than frugality. Maintaining a modest public profile reduces the complexity and costs associated with high-security lifestyles that many ultra-wealthy individuals require. Privacy protection represents another significant motivation. Visible wealth often leads to increased scrutiny from the media, government agencies, and the general public. Tax authorities frequently audit individuals whose spending patterns suggest unreported income, while regulatory agencies may examine businesses more closely when owners display expensive lifestyles. This attention creates administrative burdens and legal costs that modest appearances can help minimize. Social dynamics also influence these decisions. Displaying wealth can fundamentally alter personal relationships in ways that many successful people find uncomfortable. Friends and family may begin viewing interactions through a financial lens, leading to requests for loans, investments, or charitable contributions that create ongoing tension. Professional relationships can become complicated when colleagues or clients make assumptions about pricing, negotiating positions, or financial capacity based on appearance. The psychological benefits of this approach often prove as valuable as the practical protections. Many wealthy individuals report that modest lifestyles provide freedom to move through daily life without constant awareness of their economic status. They can shop, travel, and interact socially without the self-consciousness or performance pressure that comes with maintaining expensive appearances. However, this strategy requires balance to avoid becoming counterproductive. In certain professional contexts, appearing too modest can damage credibility or business relationships. Clients might question the competence of financial advisors who appear financially unsuccessful, or business partners might doubt the stability of companies whose owners seem unable to afford quality clothing or reliable transportation. The key insight involves understanding that protection strategies should match actual risks rather than imagined fears. For most moderately successful Americans, the benefits of modest appearance center on avoiding lifestyle inflation and social pressures rather than security threats or tax investigations. Here's your practical assessment. Evaluate whether your spending on appearance serves genuine personal or professional purposes versus social signaling that provides minimal real benefit. Consider how different appearance choices might affect your financial goals and personal safety in your specific circumstances. The strategic approach involves conscious choice rather than default behavior. Understanding when modest appearance serves your interests and when investment in quality or professional presentation makes sense for your situation and goals. The mindset shift involves recognizing that true security comes from having resources available when needed, not from displaying those resources to others who may not have your best interests in mind. Number 2. Quiet luxury versus loud broke psychology. Research reveals a counterintuitive relationship between actual wealth and conspicuous consumption. The people who spend the most on visible luxury brands are typically middle-class earners, not the genuinely wealthy. This phenomenon reflects complex psychological motivations around status signaling, social acceptance, and identity formation that often work against long-term wealth building. Studies by economist Elizabeth Currid-Halkett show that middle-income households allocate disproportionate percentages of their income to recognizable luxury brands compared to high-net-worth individuals. This spending pattern occurs because middle-class consumers use visible brands to signal upward mobility and professional success to peers, employers, and social networks. The psychological driver involves proving membership in higher economic classes, rather than expressing personal taste or enjoying superior quality. Meanwhile, genuinely wealthy individuals often gravitate toward what luxury analysts call quiet luxury. Expensive items without obvious branding or status symbols. Brands like Loro Piana, Brunello Cucinelli, or The Row produce exceptionally high-quality goods that cost significantly more than mass luxury brands but remain virtually unrecognizable to most observers. These purchases prioritize materials, craftsmanship, and personal comfort over social signaling. The psychology behind this difference reflects distinct motivations and constraints. Middle-class earners often feel pressure to demonstrate their professional competence and social standing through external markers because their economic position remains somewhat precarious. A $3,000 handbag or luxury car lease might represent months of savings, but the perceived career and social benefits justify the financial sacrifice. Wealthy individuals, having already achieved financial security, don't require external validation of their success. They can focus purchasing decisions on personal preferences, quality, and functionality rather than image management. When your net worth provides genuine security, you don't need expensive logos to feel confident in professional or social situations. This creates what researchers call the loud broke phenomenon. Individuals whose expensive appearances mask financial stress or limited assets. Credit card debt, lease payments, and installment plans enable middle-class consumers to access luxury goods they cannot afford outright, creating lifestyles that appear affluent while preventing actual wealth accumulation. The opportunity cost of status spending becomes significant over time. Money directed toward recognizable luxury items could instead compound through investments, creating genuine financial security rather than just the appearance of success. A $50,000 luxury car loses value immediately, while the same amount invested could potentially grow substantially over decades. However, completely dismissing appearance-related spending ignores legitimate professional and social considerations. Certain careers require polished presentations that may justify investments in quality clothing, reliable transportation, or professional tools. The key involves distinguishing between purchases that provide genuine functional value versus those driven primarily by status anxiety. Geographic and cultural factors also influence these dynamics significantly. Professional environments in major metropolitan areas often expect certain appearance standards that require financial investment, while the same spending might be unnecessary or counterproductive in other contexts. Here's your evaluation framework. Before significant purchases, consider whether you're buying quality and function or paying primarily for brand recognition and status signaling. Ask whether the item serves genuine personal or professional needs versus social expectations that may not align with your actual goals. Consider calculating the long-term opportunity cost of status purchases by projecting what the same money could become if invested over 10 to 20 years. This analysis doesn't eliminate all appearance spending, but ensures conscious decision-making rather than automatic status-driven consumption. The mindset shift involves building confidence through actual financial progress rather than external symbols that may delay the security you're trying to project. Number 3, the Diderot effect trap. The Diderot effect describes a psychological phenomenon where acquiring one new possession triggers a cascade of additional purchases as people feel compelled to upgrade other items to maintain consistency with their improved standard. This pattern can transform single, reasonable purchases into expensive lifestyle overhauls that strain budgets and delay wealth-building goals, often without the purchaser realizing how dramatically their spending has escalated. The concept originates from 18th century French philosopher Denis Diderot, who described how receiving a beautiful red robe as a gift led him to replace his entire study. The elegant robe made his existing furniture, decorations, and accessories appear shabby by comparison, prompting him to purchase new items that matched the robe's quality and style. By the time he finished upgrading everything to complement the original gift, Diderot had spent far more than he intended and felt less satisfied than before the process began. This psychological pattern remains remarkably relevant in modern consumer culture. A new smartphone might prompt upgrading your case, headphones, and charging accessories. A quality jacket can make your existing shoes and accessories feel inadequate, leading to additional clothing purchases. A nice car might inspire upgrading your home's appearance to match the perceived lifestyle improvement. Each purchase feels logical and necessary within the context created by the previous upgrade. The underlying psychology involves several cognitive biases working together. Humans naturally seek consistency and harmony in their environment, making mismatched quality levels feel uncomfortable. Social comparison adds pressure as people worry about others noticing inconsistencies that might signal poor judgment or limited resources. The availability heuristic makes recently purchased items feel like the new normal standard, shifting expectations about appropriate quality levels. Lifestyle inflation through the Diderot effect becomes particularly dangerous because it often occurs gradually and feels justified at each step. Unlike obvious overspending on single expensive items, this pattern involves many smaller decisions that individually seem reasonable but collectively consume significant resources. The psychological satisfaction from each upgrade typically proves temporary, creating ongoing pressure for additional improvements. The financial impact compounds over time as higher lifestyle standards become entrenched expectations rather than temporary treats. Monthly expenses increase to support upgraded standards of living, reducing available funds for savings and investments that could build actual long-term security. The irony involves spending money to feel successful while preventing the wealth accumulation that creates genuine financial success. However, completely avoiding all lifestyle improvements isn't psychologically sustainable or necessarily beneficial. Quality purchases that genuinely enhance daily life, productivity, or professional effectiveness can justify their costs. The key involves conscious decision-making that distinguishes between purchases driven by genuine needs versus those motivated by consistency pressure or social signaling. Here's your practical interruption strategy. Before making purchases that complement recent upgrades, implement a waiting period to evaluate whether the item serves genuine functional purposes or primarily addresses consistency concerns. Keep a spending log that tracks upgrade cascades to increase awareness of this pattern in your own purchasing behavior. Set annual budgets for lifestyle improvements that align with your overall financial goals, treating upgrade spending as one category among many, rather than as unlimited response to felt needs for consistency. Most importantly, recognize that perfectly coordinated possessions don't create lasting satisfaction or genuine security. The goal involves making conscious choices about where lifestyle improvements provide real value versus where they simply feed psychological patterns that can undermine long-term financial well-being. Number 4. The negotiation and social advantages. Strategic modesty in appearance creates tangible advantages in financial negotiations and social interactions, though these benefits must be balanced against professional requirements and personal authenticity. Understanding how your appearance influences others' assumptions and pricing decisions enables more effective resource management and relationship building. In business negotiations, appearing wealthy often triggers automatic price increases as vendors assume higher payment capacity. Contractors bidding on home repairs, car salespeople, and service providers frequently adjust their pricing based on visual cues about clients' financial resources. A person driving a luxury vehicle to a repair shop might receive quotes 20 to 30% higher than someone arriving in a modest car for identical work, regardless of their actual financial capacity. This pricing psychology extends beyond obvious luxury signals to subtler appearance markers. Expensive watches, designer clothing, or premium accessories can signal a willingness to pay higher prices even when the wearer specifically seeks cost-effective solutions. Real estate agents, financial advisors, and professional service providers often adjust their approach and pricing based on these visual assessments. The social dynamics prove equally significant but more complex. Visible wealth can fundamentally alter personal relationships as friends, family, and acquaintances begin viewing interactions through a financial lens. The person who appears most successful within a social group often becomes the default choice for picking up restaurant checks, contributing to group gifts, or funding shared activities, regardless of their actual financial priorities or constraints. Professional contexts require a careful balance between modest appearance and credibility maintenance. While an understated presentation can provide negotiating advantages, appearing too modest might undermine professional authority in industries where success signals matter for client confidence. Financial advisors, lawyers, and business consultants often need to project competence through appropriate appearance standards. The psychological advantage of being underestimated extends beyond direct financial benefits. When people don't perceive you as wealthy, they're more likely to share honest information about pricing, investment opportunities, or business deals, rather than assuming you already have access to premium options. This information asymmetry can provide significant advantages in decision-making and opportunity recognition. Geographic and cultural contexts significantly influence these dynamics. Modest appearance provides different advantages in small towns versus major metropolitan areas, and cultural expectations about success symbols vary considerably across regions and industries. What signals appropriate modesty in one context might appear unprofessional or out of place in another. However, taken to extremes, this strategy can become counterproductive. Excessively modest appearance might signal financial distress rather than strategic choice, potentially limiting access to credit, business opportunities, or professional networks where appropriate presentation matters for credibility. Here's your strategic application. Observe how your appearance affects others' initial assumptions and pricing in various contexts. Notice differences in how service providers, salespeople, and professional contacts interact based on your presentation choices. This awareness enables conscious decisions about when modest appearance serves your interests versus when investment in professional presentation provides better outcomes. Consider developing context-appropriate appearance strategies rather than universal approaches. Professional situations might require different presentation choices than casual negotiations or social interactions. The key insight involves understanding that strategic modesty works best when it represents conscious choice rather than financial limitation, enabling you to leverage others' assumptions while maintaining the flexibility to present differently when circumstances require it. Number 5. Building wealth through stealth. Redirecting money typically spent on status symbols toward wealth-building investments can create substantial long-term financial advantages, though this strategy requires balance to avoid unhealthy extremes or professional disadvantages. The mathematical differences between appearance spending and investment returns compound dramatically over decades, making conscious resource allocation one of the most impactful financial decisions many people can make. Consider the opportunity cost calculations that many people never perform. A $60,000 luxury vehicle loses approximately 60% of its value within 5 years, while the same amount invested in diversified stock markets has historically grown at 7 to 10% annually over long periods. After 20 years, the car has minimal residual value, while the invested amount could potentially reach $150,000 to $250,000 depending on market performance and reinvestment strategies. The psychology behind status spending often involves seeking external validation of success or competence, but these benefits typically prove temporary, while the financial costs compound over time. Monthly payments for luxury cars, expensive clothing, premium accessories, and lifestyle upgrades can easily consume $1,000 to $2,000 monthly, which could otherwise build substantial wealth through systematic investing. However, completely eliminating all appearance-related spending ignores legitimate professional and personal considerations. Certain careers require credible presentation that may justify investments in quality clothing, reliable transportation, or professional tools. The strategy involves distinguishing between purchases that provide genuine functional value versus those motivated primarily by social signaling or lifestyle comparison. Geographic factors significantly influence these calculations. Professional expectations vary considerably between industries and regions, making some appearance investments necessary for career advancement, while others provide minimal real benefit. A financial advisor in Manhattan faces different presentation requirements than a software developer in Austin, and spending strategies should reflect these practical realities. The stealth wealth approach works most effectively when it reflects conscious choice rather than financial limitation. People who choose modest lifestyles while building assets maintain flexibility to upgrade when circumstances warrant, while those who exhaust resources on appearance lack options when opportunities arise or emergencies occur. Quality versus brand recognition represents another important distinction. Spending on durable, well-made items that provide years of reliable service often proves more cost-effective than purchasing trendy or logo-heavy products that require frequent replacement. This approach prioritizes function and longevity over social signaling while potentially reducing the total cost of ownership. The social dynamics require careful navigation to avoid isolating yourself from professional networks or personal relationships that provide genuine value. Some appearance-related spending serves legitimate networking or relationship-building purposes that justify the costs when viewed as career or personal investments, rather than pure consumption. Here's your practical implementation strategy. Audit your current spending to identify purchases motivated primarily by status versus those serving genuine functional needs. Calculate the long-term opportunity cost of major appearance expenses by projecting what those amounts could become through investment over 10 to 20 years. Set conscious boundaries around appearance spending that align with your professional requirements and personal values while maximizing resources available for wealth building. This might involve choosing reliable used vehicles over new ones, buying quality clothing without premium logos, or selecting modest housing in good locations rather than impressive homes that strain budgets. Track your progress by monitoring net worth growth rather than lifestyle improvements, recognizing that building actual wealth provides more security and options than maintaining expensive appearances that may prevent accumulating the resources needed for genuine financial independence. The mindset shift involves understanding that true wealth whispers, while financial insecurity often shouts through expensive possessions that mask underlying resource constraints. The stealth wealth strategy offers genuine advantages for building long-term financial security, but it requires balance and conscious implementation rather than rigid adherence to appearance rules. This approach works best when it reflects a strategic choice about resource allocation rather than extreme frugality that ignores legitimate professional or personal needs. The core insight involves understanding that money spent on status signaling often provides temporary satisfaction while preventing the accumulation of assets that create genuine security and options. However, completely eliminating all appearance-related spending can be counterproductive if it undermines professional credibility or personal well-being. The most effective implementation involves auditing your current spending to distinguish between purchases that serve genuine functional purposes versus those motivated primarily by social pressure or status anxiety. This conscious evaluation enables better resource allocation without requiring lifestyle extremes that may not be sustainable or appropriate for your circumstances. Which aspect of status spending are you reconsidering after understanding these dynamics? Vehicle choices, clothing purchases, housing decisions, or something else? Comment below and share your biggest challenge in balancing appearance needs with wealth-building goals. Remember that this strategy isn't appropriate for everyone. Professional requirements, personal values, and individual circumstances vary significantly in ways that affect optimal spending decisions. The goal involves making conscious choices about where your money goes, rather than following predetermined rules that may not align with your specific situation. True wealth provides security and options, rather than requiring the sacrifice of everything that brings genuine enjoyment or professional effectiveness. The key involves strategic thinking about where your resources create the most long-term value for your specific goals and circumstances.